Good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. My name is Bogopane-Zulu, the Deputy Minister for the Department of Social Development, and I'm your host this afternoon as we mark the World Alzheimer's Awareness Day. I think for South Africa and for all of us, the word is too big. We don't understand the word, and we need to be able to simplify this word and actually make sense out of it. It's been an amazing day. We want to thank the Eastern Cape as the host. We want to send our condolences to the families that have experienced the brutal killings of their loved ones, in particular older persons. We started the day by visiting an old age home, John Foster Old Age Home, and it was a mixed bag. Our ability to explain and engage caregivers, older persons themselves, but also see a lot of older persons that are going through this particular disease and seeing the pain in their eyes that they are just there. But also, we went out we are in Emalahleni, local municipality under the Chris Hani District Municipality, live from Queenstown in the Eastern Cape. We had a community dialogue where we engaged with communities and made sure that we give an ear to community. Let's all mute ourselves so that we give a technical team, mute everybody, please, so that we are able to listen to communities. And we would like to thank the traditional leaders, Amakosi Wetu, for having joined us as the custodians of culture and really looking at this disease from an African cultural Ubuntu perspective and where have we gone wrong. We want to thank our traditional healers that have joined us and actually understood and had an opportunity to engage and ask questions to our nurses, health professionals, to our older persons themselves, to the caregivers, the families. We want to thank the political leadership. In particular, we thank and welcome the brand new chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Social Development. We want to thank the select committee members. We want to thank you, South Africa, for allowing us to lead. I think as I do the opening and the welcome, I want to say to South Africa, Alzheimer's, it's part of mental health. It is easy or actually difficult for us in the African community. We don't understand depression. It is the same energy, the fact that people with Alzheimer's as a form of a dementia, and Alzheimer's is just but one part of dementia, and we have a lot of different dementias. But today, it's World Alzheimer's Day, and let's talk about it. We are going to have different speakers that will give us and enlighten South Africa. But allow me to say, South Africa, take a moment and think about the following. Reflect on your life. The one thing about this disease is very democratic. It chooses no race. It chooses no, whether you're poor or you're rich. But the sad part is the rich ones are able to get care while the poorer one have the time, find themselves in communities that does not understand it. What is this thing? Alzheimer's. What is this condition? What is this disease? In whatever form you're going to call it. Let's try and simplify it for you and just take you on a journey. But I'd like South Africa to join me. Think beyond what I'm going to say and think about yourself. What's going to happen to you and what will happen to your children, to your family. Think about it like this, South Africa. You wake up in the morning, you don't know who you are. You don't know where you are. You don't know whether you have children or not. You don't know their names. You are angry. You are irritable. You have extreme mood swings. The 1 minute you are happy, the next minute you are angry, the next minute you are hallucinating, the next minute you have extreme mood swings, the next minute you are very aggressive. The light becomes your enemy. It is too bright, the color of the room. So what does it mean? It means the one morning when I'm not going to know my name. The next morning, I'm not going to know my children. The next morning, I'm not going to know my address. The next morning, I will never be able to recognize my room. The next morning, I will never be able to recognize my husband, if I have any, my boyfriend, my life partner, my spouse. The next minute, I will be so depressed. The next minute, I will be so happy. The next minute, I can't get myself to the bathroom. The next minute, I don't even know how to swallow. The next minute, I don't know how to walk. The next minute, I can't remember how to get dressed. And the next minute, I can't even see whether I'm dressed or not. The next minute, I tie my shoes, untie them, tie them, untie them, tie them, untie them. Do the same activity over and over and over again. But the worst part of it all is when those around me does not recognize what I'm going through, does not know what to do, does not know how to support me. But the painful part, when I'm in a village, I'm a witch because I talk to myself to try and make sense of what I'm going through. I try to find my steps. I try to remember the basic things because my mind left me. I have no memories of the life I once lived. I hear them say she was the deputy minister, but I can't even remember, except maybe tomorrow, and I can remember that I actually officiated on today. So being 50, as I am a waiting candidate of Alzheimer's. There's very little that you can eat to prevent it. It has no cure as we speak. But above all, your whole life disappears in front of you, and there is nothing you can do about it. Absolutely nothing, except those that are around you must protect you, must love you, must understand you, and must give you all the support. But we all know, as we will hear from our esteemed speakers, sometimes they themselves don't understand because they are used to Henrietta, she says her mind, she's there, she's out there, and the next minute, she was here, but she's gone without being gone. But I can only remember my children when they were children. Probably some of them have passed on. I'm still holding on to those names. I don't even know whether they are still alive, but in my world, they are alive. And all of us, and I mean all South Africa, are waiting candidates. Today, it's all about, let's demystify, let's address our fears. So we have a very short program, and thereafter we will actually open for South Africa to talk to us. Your experiences. I'm doing it for my grandmother. My maternal grandmother died with Alzheimer's. I had to teach my family. I had to teach my mom that her mother cannot recognize her. She had to attend a funeral of her own child when she does not even know who is in that coffin. She couldn't understand why she must sit on the mattress. But the most painful day I remember that I had to teach the family is when she was in her room and there was a mirror. And she never wanted to be in that room because she was angry with this person. And I went to visit and she said, oh, there's a person in my room. And this person is competing with me. When I comb my hair, she combs her hair. When I eat my food, she eats with me. She competes with me for my clothes. And that was herself on a mirror reflection. And she did not want to go into that room. And I had to teach Umam Kuluam, my mom's sister, or the problem, because she thought, whatever, she doesn't want, she's uncooperative. I had to teach her and say, no, Let's start with the basics. Let's repaint the room to the color blue or green or red, calming colors. Let's change the color of the door so that it does not look like all the other doors. Then she can recognize her room. Let's remove the mirror. That way, this person that is haunting her will not be there to haunt her. Remember, South Africa, she cannot recognize herself. And when it's dark, she became more active because light is too sharp, but darkness gives her the stillness in her mind that she needs. She can remember that she wants the broom to sweep. The basic little chores that she was doing, she will do them in the dark at night because that is where her mind is calmer. And hey, that is where city, they are wishes by a target, and we brutally murder them when all that they have done is to be older. Without any waste of time, allow me to call upon P. Detroit to give us, on behalf of Alzheimer's South Africa, to give us some experiences and thoughts. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. This is really an honor to be part of this discussion. And World Alzheimer's Day is really one of the days on the calendar that we focus on, because people are suffering, people are afraid, people are murdered due to the fact that they are acting strangely. So this is the 10th year that we commemorate World Alzheimer's Day. The first year was in 2011. And this year, the focus is on diagnosis. So it is very important to let people get diagnosed as far as possible. I know it is a challenge in rural and deep rural areas, but it is very important, as with a diagnosis, you can start a care plan. You can start walking the road with a family, with a person living with dementia, to make their life worth the while. And dementia is, and Alzheimer's is very underdiagnosed throughout the world. It is estimated that only 25% of people ever get diagnosed. That is 1 in 4 people get a diagnosis and therefore a relevant treatment and support. In low and middle income countries, it is estimated that only 1 in 10 people get diagnosed. And you can see that those people, there are then 9 people out of 10 living out there in the rural areas, in their homes, sometimes alone, afraid, scared, don't understand what is going on, and ostracized, abused, and often killed due to their strange behavior. So yes, I think South Africa, we must take hands, all of us, and try to put together a plan to address the needs of people living with dementia in South Africa. We are part of the WHO, and they have a plan for older persons since 2017, and they want more and more countries to get dementia plans. South Africa doesn't have a plan. We have a mental health plan, but I think it is very important that all of us take hands, government, private, doctors, the police, defense force, everyone must take hands to put a dementia plan on the table so that people living with dementia can be well taken care of and living life to its fullest until the end. Dementia is a deliberating disease. It is really not anything that you want to get. And as the Honorable Minister said, we are all getting older. And age is one of the biggest risk factors for dementia. So from age 40, 50, you can get dementia, and there's no discrimination. Any person, from the president, previous president and actor Ronald Reagan, to Mrs. Margaret Thatcher, to sportsmen like Muhammad Ali, anybody of any race, of anywhere in the world can get dementia. And that is why I really think it is time that South Africa focus on dementia and Alzheimer's, try to get people on board, that they support people living with dementia. The clinic personnel, medical students, other medical field people like social workers, occupational therapists, these people must get the relevant training to be able to assist people living with dementia. And the community must be made aware of dementia and Alzheimer's, and that it's not a bewitchment, that you are not a funny old person walking down the road naked, but that you are actually sick, that you have a disease of the brain. So yes, my message is, please let us all take hands. Let us create a world full of love and empathy for people living with dementia and their families. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Without any wasting of time, because I would like us to save our time, we've heard and we have learned. This is the 10th year, and we want to commit to families and to ourselves that South Africa will have a plan. As we start, can we mute everyone, please? Check mute, check mute. Please mute, Mama. We must work towards a plan, because when we dealt with HIV and AIDS, we neglected the lifespan, because at that time, South Africa was dying young. But today, with our life having been extended, with us living much longer, we are beginning to realize that we need the right professionals. We need geriatricians. And that is you know, when we do career pathing, we actually don't even encourage our young people. Because if we can invest in a lot of young people, understanding the process of aging, understanding mental health, understanding what love, support, compassion, maybe we will have a better South Africa. Without any waste of time, allow me to then give the floor to, I have my own program, so I will call, can I call on Colonel Mazwi, who can actually share with us as the security cluster and speak on the brutalities we unleash to those that find themselves in this situation. Colonel Mazwi, you have the floor. Colonel Mazwi, is Colonel online? Okay, maybe I should, I will come back to Colonel Mazwi. Let me move to an official from the Department of Health, Ubabu Zigalala. Z Zigalala, you have the floor. Tech, I would like you, when I call a speaker and they don't respond, for you to tell me whether they are online or not. If we can get through that. Is Lulama online?
Lulama's online. They're trying to connect the audio.
Online.
Let me do that.
Mrs. Lulama was ready.
May we please, Lulama?
Hello.
As a family member, can you share with South Africa on behalf of many, many, many families that go through what you go through? You have the floor, man.
Okay, I will give to umama a family member lapha ecam kwami to share.
Molweni ma.
Camera
Molweni
ye. Molo mamwam. Vuli
kunoluntu
camera.
meleni echamama
Noluntu?
eMzantsi kucofa imvaba.
Okay.
Ndizothetha ngomakhulu wam. Umakhulu ebegula yi-Alzheimer enento elahlekelwayo elibala. Engumntu othetha niqaphele ethetha ngabantu abangasekhoyo ngakumbi abantwana bakhe abamshiyayo. Ngenye ixesha nimve esithi abantwana bakhe baswelekile but babe basweleka kudala. Athi ngenye ixesha athi naye kuthiwa uswelekile uzawungcwatywa ngomso. Ufumanisa into yobana ke ngoku apha kubahlali xa ethetha ezo zinto bamthatha njengomntu othakathayo. Ngenye imini umakhulu iinkomo zakhe zazingabuyanga, wayokhangela iinkomo zakhe kulaa ndawo kokwabo kulo mfana wolusayo. Xa efika kuloo mini leyo kwakubanda kukho ikhephu. Umakhulu wawisa ixakatho lakhe kulaa mzi. Kwacaba bambhaqa ephandle ke ngoku eqhaqhazela engasazazi noba makabheke ngaphi na. Bamcelela ke abantwana balaa mzi uba mabamthathe bamkhaphe bamse endlini. Wabe ke intombi yakhe eseyikhona udadobawo. Wabe udadobawo esecaweni kodwa eshiye umnyusise ngummelwane uba makazajonge umakhulu ngoba umshiye engekho rayithi. Umakhulu ke ngoku ufike lo sisi wambona uba uyaqhaqhazela wamenzela amanzi waphunga. Kusasa ngemini elandelayo kwavakala abantu bebethetha kooWhatsApp kooFacebook into yobana umakhulu ucholwe emzini ekuseni ngabothu. Wabe umakhulu ngelaa xesha ebefika endlini yakhe esenzelwa iti ibiphaa ko-7 ukuya ku-8. Afektha kakhulu ke ngoku kwifemeli loo nto leyo. Umakhulu kwanyanzeleka into yoba makahambe ayohlaliswa ehome. Wahlaliswa ehome kumakhulu. Xa ufika kumakhulu uyombona ehome uzakuxelela umakhulu into yoba izindlu zakhe zonke kuthiwa zimke nomoya, akasenamzi ngoku. Yabe nabantwana bakhe babhubhile. Nalo ukhoyo ungudadobawo naye uswelekile, naye ubhubhile uzawungcwatywa ngomso. Ndikhumbula ngenye imini ndiyombona kufumaniseka into yobana andinawumboniswa phaa ehome ngoba kuthiwa urongo. Sabe sisazi ke thina ukuba umakhulu ungumntu othetha ngolu hlobo athetha ngalo. Kwacaba ke ngoku ilali yonke ke ngoku idumisa into yoba umakhulu uyatola, uyathakatha. Wahlala ehome wabe uyasweleka umakhulu. Kodwa loo nto ayiphelelanga kumakhulu. Umakhulu usweleke ngoJuni kulo nyaka uphelileyo 2020. Udadobawo intombi kamakhulu besekuphela kwakhe isweleke yona nge-23 kaSeptemba, yabhaqwa ichachriwe ecaleni kwendlu phaa kwamakhulu. Xa kufunyaniswa into yobana ebehleli endlini, ukuba wathathwa njani wakhutshwa njani endlini wahamba ngoba izinto zakhe zokuhlamba zazisehleli, ukutya kwakhe wayesakuphekile wengekakutyi. Xa lo mfana umbuleleyo nguye owachazela abantu uba ngabana nankuya embona edunduluze phaya akayazi uba kwenzeka ntoni na. Naye wayesithi dadobawo kudadobawo. Ungummelwane wakhe, ungumzukulwana kadadobawo lo ambuleleyo. Xa kufunyaniswa ke ngoku amapolisa njengoba ejikeleza njena, wanesazela wachaza emapoliseni into yoba into edala bambulale yinto yoba uyathakatha. Umbhaqe kowabo ngo-10 ebusuku eyogalela iyeza. Yabe kowabo bebeye emntwini futhi nelali iyatsho ithi uyathakatha. Yiloo nto ke ngoku eyasichaphazela kakhulu ke ngoku thina silikhaya loo nto leyo. Kangangoba nangoku abantwana bakhe basahlala apho kunzima. Njengoba enomolokazana nje udadobawo ngoka-56, sejuba una-56 years ngoka-64 yena. Abantwana bakhe banomolokazana babo. Oonyana bakhe ngoku banexhala lento yoba ngoku njengoba kwakuthiwe kuthakatha umama wabo, umakhulu wabo, kuthakatha umama wabo, ngoku uzawuthiwa kuthakatha noomolokazana babo. I-eczema ke yasichaphazela kakhulu thina siyifemeli, ngoba ngoku asisenadadobawo ngenxa yokuba ilali ithi iyathakatha, ngenxa yezi zinto zoba umntu elibala, umntu ethetha ngabantu ababhubhileyo. Kodwa engazange athethe ngabantu belali ababhubhileyo, ethetha ngabantu bakhe, abantwana bakhe, ngomyeni wakhe, nangabantu bomzi wakhe. Enkosi. Yho, andiyanonisa amanye.
Manje niye nathola uncedo njengofamily nayithola i-counselling, kwaba nomuntu oke wafika wachaza kwaba kuthi i-community yaseXovimbaba ithi kuthe elalini kube na ezizinto ezibizwa dialogue, niye nathola i-support?
Ewe, likhona ithuba ebabephumile umasipala intsika yethu. Wayehamba ke ne-department bayochazela ke ngoku ilali, bamema ilali babaphaya kulaa mzi ngelaa xesha kanye loba eswelekile nasemveni koba engcwatyiwe. Bayochazela ilali ke ngoku kufa. Sisonke siyifemeli saye sayifumana i-counselling ngenxa yoba udadobawo wayehamba kwicawe yaseRoma, ephambili phaya kulaa cawe yaseRoma. So kulaa nkonzo yakhe, aba bantu belaa manyano yakhe bazama indlela yoba simane sisisiwa kwi-counselling eKomani Hospital. Kodwa ke andifuni uphosisa, siyifemeli asikaxoli. Ngakumbi nangakumbi xa sibona aba bantu balaa femeli. Naxa befika, njengoba kwabanjwa nje unyana wabo, asisayazi ngoku ingathi kuthiwa waphuma. Njengoba naxa befika, njengoba ndisithi bangabamelwane. Bathi xa befika nethi nibabone nivele kufike kubuye yonke laa nto.
Ewe. Hayi, enkosi kakhulu.
Nasebusuku xa uphuma phandle ebusuku, mhlawumbi okanye uyokha amanzi phandle okanye uyothini, uvele ube nexhala ngoba awuyazi noba uDabsi lona wafuthaniselwa, then ke ngoku wathwalwa kwahanjwa naye wayothini, ngoba awusiyazi uba wambulala njani udeske abe wamoyisa, ngoba ingumntana omfana nomncinci lo.
Hayi, iyaba buhlungu. Enkosi kakhulu. Sizawuyilandelela, ndithemba ukuthi ke aba abaku-platform bazawuthi bathathe ama-details wakho, ngoba ukuthi sifike kanye siwumasipala, ngiyacabanga ukuthi into ekumele siyichaze, because isimo osichazayo sibuhlungu kakhulu, because sidivide nefamily, sidivide ilali, ziphinde nje kube ilonda ezingapholiyo. Enkosi kakhulu mama. Sikhumbula omakhulu wakho, sikhumbula umama, and sithemba nje ukuthi omalokozana soze baxelelwe nabo ukuthi bayathakatha. Kodwa into ekumele u-social development ayilandelele, because uma ifamily yodwa iluze bantu babini and abantu abanye babulawa umnyo wefamily, into edinga ukuthi kube naloko okuphola, uyabona, ngoba isikhathi kusase fresh, kusase kusha kakhulu. Kusamele ukuthi sithe kuyisebenza. So ngithemba ukuthi ama-details wakho sizawuba nawo, sizokwazi ukuthi silandelele. Ngiye ngithande mina ukulandelela izinto, because kumele sizosave malokozana, sizosave yonke ifamily, but also sizoletha ukuxolisana, uyabona, so that ifamily izokwazi ukuphola. Enkosi kakhulu ukuthi usixelele istory esibuhlungu kangaka. Thank you so much. Just to summarize for South Africa is that this is a family where the grandmother had Alzheimer's and was killed because the whole village called her a witch. But her daughter, and that was last year, 2020, her daughter was also killed because she is a daughter of a witch. And also she was outside and she got killed. But what is painful, they got killed by a family member who is a young person. And now the family is worried for their next generation because they are still in that same village with the same community. And now they will also be called witches. So we need to stand up, take responsibility, and really support. And we want to thank the municipality for having started the process, but this family needs healing. This family needs to be united. This family needs to be, guided, needs to be supported, but the village needs to be turned upside down, corner to corner, where answers and questions will be given to heal this community, but to heal South Africa as well. Without wasting of time, let me check if any of my speakers, can I call Colonel Mazwi? Seke connectile ke ngoku. Colonel?
He's battling with the connection, DM.
Okay. Official wase health, Ubabu Zigalala, Uzet Zigalala. Is he connected?
Not
Doesn't
yet.
look like, it doesn't look like he has. Can I have the traditional healer, Umamu Patricia Leu, who connected Yena? Can I call Nkosi Mavuso? Who connected Nkosi Mavuso? World Health Organization, are they connected?
Yeah, that's one.
So none of the speakers are connected. We don't want to waste time. We want to be able to create a platform because today it's about talking to South Africa. And allow me to, at this stage, it also says, when you have Alzheimer's, you are unable to differentiate dreams from reality. Whatever you dreamt becomes your true gospel. You become very aggressive. You have issues of doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Obsessive compulsive behavior. But what is painful is you can't even see that you have a problem. You can't even believe you have a problem. And your life stops the day the disease started. And slowly every day. That is why because Alzheimer's, awukhona ukustora information entsha. You can't and you are unable to store new information because it also affects your learning ability. Uzufike where you can't even do normal basic things like feeding yourself, clothing. And yes, extreme shaking is also supported by depression and anxiety, disorientation, and those are some of the things that we need to look at. So let me open the lines. Shall South Africa start? Let's have an open conversation. This is the 21st of September, the World Alzheimer's Awareness Day. Please, can we allow and indicate who have raised their hands? And Kosi, please recognize the speakers.
DM, we have Nobuzwe, who has her hand raised.
Nobuzwe, you have the floor. Nobuse, unmute yourself, my dear.
I don't know why you're not hearing me. On my screen,
Yeah. Now we can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead, my dear. You are muted. You are muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you. Go ahead.
I live in the Eastern Cape, Ebisho. My mother suffers from dementia. I hope I'm going to be okay. I live with them, my mom and dad. My mother is 83. My father is 89. My mother started this forgetfulness some years ago, I think 4 years ago. But we didn't foresee it to actually come to the stage. To such an extent, her reluctantness of showing not to wanting to take a bath, her being aggressive and calling out people who have gone 6 feet under. We just could not gel that this strong woman that she used to be has just simply gone fall short of memories and also just her being such a lady. But then I had to succumb to this and get myself to understand it. And through times of just understanding, now she's the child and I need to look after her the way that she looked after me. I became strong because I knew that she was a strong woman. And I am nurturing my mother like a baby. She got lost the other day because my dad sometimes forgets that my mom is like, she's suffering from dementia. She got lost after they had gone out for lunch. She doesn't eat. She packs the food at a restaurant. So my dad is trying by all means to understand that she has changed. But I see that it also gets to him. Just the other day, I found a bottle of wine and my dad never takes wine. So my dad has started, taking wine to calm himself down so that he can receive the changes that my mother is going through. I see my sisters when they come back for holidays. They still don't get it. And I don't know how they can get it that mom has changed. Maybe it's time for social development to actually groom people who are meant to be caregivers to understand this transaction. And maybe to be able to have caregivers that go out once in a while to homes that actually have people who are suffering, so that they're able to even teach the people who actually live with somebody with dementia or Alzheimer's. It's hard, but I get through it because I pray. And I pray with her. And I just simply play along to what she wants to talk about. And I adapt myself to her mind. But at the end of the day, she's my mother. And look at me, how I turned out. And I can nurture her the same way that she did for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you are right. One of the services we need to put in the package of care for older persons is what we call respite care services. I can see the hand up, but it's a number, it doesn't have a name. And I would like you to take this number, 0800 428 428, because that's a social worker 24 hours where you are able, and you don't need to have airtime, it's a 0-rated number, so that you have somebody to talk to. But we are packaging respite care services because you also need a break. You also need time out. You need the exact social development professional that can come and give you a day off, where you can go out and not worry that you will find your mother lost, where you can know that you have left your mother in the right hands, where you can actually go out without thinking that your father is going to forget to close the gate or lock the door and your mother is going to go. And this is the package of services that older persons must get, not only for those in the care, but also in the care of their families. So we are taking down all of this because these are really lived experiences, and I've taken that you are in Bisho, so that when I'm in Bisho, I can also come in and pass by. If you drop off your details on the chat box, whenever I find myself in Bisho, I can come to just give you a hug, to give you strength, because each and every one of us in this journey, and Siswam, keep at it. And we hope when we have your details, we can make sure that your sisters and your siblings as a whole become part of a support group where they can actually benefit from understanding the new mother that they have. And for somebody that doesn't have very little support, you are doing very well, and may God continue to grant you the strength. The next hand, it's a number. You did not name your gadget. You have the floor.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Minister. It's Karen Barakovitz of Dementia SA. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for the opportunity of this platform and forum. Just firstly to Nobiswe, I feel for you. My mother lived with dementia for 21 years. I took care of her. She was diagnosed when she was 62 and passed away when she was 83. And it was an extremely, extremely painful road. But I think that the thing that sustained me, and which I would like to point out as one of the points that was raised earlier, is certainly about information and awareness. This is a family disease. It's not just that it affects one person and the person living with dementia. It affects the community, it affects the family. And once it's destigmatized, and once people understand exactly what it is, and that it goes under the name of a disease like epilepsy, like diabetes, like heart disease, like anything else, like a proper diagnosable disease, that's really the important thing. My mother showed signs well before she actually was diagnosed at 62. So progressive and degenerative the disease was. And part of all of that, we found that geriatric services, and we all know this, geriatric services in South Africa, mental health care services in South Africa, and inclusion in the curriculum of these various colleges, universities, nursing colleges, allied health professionals, occupational therapists, social workers, etc., should all be comprehensively trained to be able to do that. It should also be regarded as a non-communicable disease. It isn't something which somebody else catches. When we did our research in Madwaleni in the Eastern Cape and did training and things at the Mabashi area, it was amazing, where people actually thought that it was like getting the flu, and that's almost why people are killed and murdered, exactly for that. The other thing, and my last point is, I agree entirely with Petra du Toit from Alzheimer's SA that a dementia plan is absolutely essential so that we can all, in various sectors, start working through how we deal with these. How do we build geriatric services? How do we build mental health care services and train and create awareness? The one thing that we also need to know is that the Older Persons Act is pivotal in rolling out this dementia plan and educating communities. Many older people are abused, you know, and that's exactly what this murder is. These murders just, you know, continue they continue to happen because there is no recourse on abuse. People can just carry on abusing older people. And I think the Older Persons Act needs to be used far more rigorously by members of the South African Police Forum, South African Police Force, the justice system. All of these people should be trained in what dementia is: progressive degenerative disease that affects the person's ability to live normally in daily life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. The commitment I can make, for as long as the president has borrowed me the title, which I am 100% in agreement with, is to start the process, because we are the signatories to the Madrid Protocol. We are in the process of signing the African Charter for Older Persons. We have our act that we are currently reviewing, and I'm calling on all sectors to participate in the public hearings that Parliament will hold, because the intention is to really improve the protection for older persons. And we are in 100% agreement. Geriatrics, it's a challenge, and it's a career South Africans don't actually choose. It's a career that South Africans don't actually know it exists, and it is our responsibility as the custodian of the rights of older persons as a department to begin to improve services. And yes, indeed, everybody must be trained. And this brings me, Cozy, as you line up the people that raised their hands. I went for my eye operation at a hospital. And in the ward that I was in, there were 2 older persons. And what broke my heart, I think for the first time, I don't like violence, but on that evening, I was ready to give this nurse like hot slaps, was that as the lights go off, Bogopane felt calmer and they started getting out of bed, remembering the chores, and they started looking for whatever that they could remember for that time, becoming active. And this nurse was insulting them. Hey, don't come and be witches here. This is not your village. Yo, I have never been so angry. And I was like, I was angry, but what stopped me from actually giving that nurse a few slaps was that I became shocked that a health professional with so many epaulets on her shoulders, including the epaulet that represents psychiatric services or mental health, did not understand what Abogogo were going through. So it goes back to, we need to revisit the curriculum. Cozy, who's next on the line?
We have Mr. Zakele Zigalala on the line.
Okay, one of our speakers is connected.
One of our panelists is connected.
Our panelist from the Department of Health, Babu Zigalala, you have the floor. Tech, let's mute. Babu Zigalala, you have the
Good
floor.
afternoon, DM, and the
If you can, switch your camera on. If you can't, it's okay.
Okay. Ma'am, I'm sorry for turning in late. That's number one. And I'm a bit head back. I missed some of the conversations. So I would rather seek your assistance. Is it on the question of presentation that you have asked me to speak?
Yes, you are one of the panelists. So don't worry about what we said. Tell us, what is the Department of Health's role? You know, what programs are you running? How do you support service as the custodian of the Mental Health Care Act? You know, what services are there for older persons that find themselves having dementia, Alzheimer's, or whichever other form, Parkinson's, you name it, that is Enlighten South Africa. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, DM, for your assistance. For starters, we will start at PHC, which is the primary health care. It has been something new because we saw the gap at some stage that when it comes to mental health, mental illness, our caregivers were not well trained. And then as such, with the assistance of the NGOs, they have been trained now on the basic psychiatric, that is mental health, and to just be able to assess. That's the start. Secondly, with our facilities, PHC, we have in fact, here at Krisani, we've got Komani Hospital who's assisting us with like the doctors who go on outreach programs. But the first, Wobocot, which is the caregivers, identify those clients are referred to facilities. And then in clinics, they then get an appointment to meet the doctors for the assessment. Now I'm talking with psychiatry, mental health in general, so to put it. But I must say, when it comes to Alzheimer's disease, I must say not much attention had been given before. Putting it like this, the conditions that were given more attention are those that normally would need treatment. Now you would find that you've got people who are on chronic medication. We do reviews from time to time. Like for an example, tomorrow, that is on the 23rd, we are having a visiting doctor and lady. This is happening on month-to-month basis that they visit those psychiatric clients. Now, education-wise, NCD program does coordinate awareness programs. Now, because of, without putting the emphasis on mental health alone, because on NCD, you've got your cancer, your eye care, your diabetes, your hypertension. And as such, you would realize that you have to break this according to the calendar of the year. And that is why it's only the month of October that we would normally find that is dedicated to psychiatric awarenesses. So, okay. Okay, ma'am. So as I was speaking, there's a mic that. Oh. Okay, ma'am.
Can we please mute everyone, please? Go ahead, Bab.
Okay, furthermore, ma'am, we do, like for an example, we do work with social development on certain cases, but they were not necessarily Alzheimer's cases, so to say. And as much as we work with it, even including with the elderly, golden games and everything, but the assessment and the attention was not moving around the question of Alzheimer's. But here is the way that the Department of Health can assist. For status, the screening of diabetes mellitus and HPT and mental health in such, on those cases that we talk of 72-hour assessments, your schizophrenia and whatnot, those are reported on APPs as a measure as to how far are we assisting our clients, or to say our communities. Perhaps even the screening, that is the screening of older persons on Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and so forth should be one of the APPs, which is something that I can bring up. But at the moment, we don't even have it in DHIS to say we are reporting on this particular. I mean, it's just saying mental health screened. Hello, ma'am.
We are all ears.
Yes. So it would be fair for me to say the attention was not that much given on the diseases. I mean, on Alzheimer's per se, because I cannot pick it out as it stands alone. But to mental health, it was given, so to say, and the communities on the ground didn't get much information simply because even our staff, which are the healthcare workers, they didn't have much information because they were never trained. They were trained like on basic care. That is where you come, you assist person with medication, cleaning, and all that, and screening for others, but not necessarily this one. So up to now, it has also come to our attention that a collaborated program, when we're doing all the screening, even including during this COVID-19, we have since collaborated other programs to say the screening must continue, all these cases must continue. So as I speak with you, we are looking forward to implement it around PHC. Hospital-wise, I can only talk of Komati Hospital because I'm not sure, because the other hospitals, designated psychiatric hospitals like your district hospitals, they only normally would deal with cases whereby they have been referred simply because the person has defaulted or first-time diagnosis on a psychiatric condition, irrespective of which one is it. So around the Alzheimer, and unfortunately, I do not have stats or any regarding the district hospitals, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think this is a matter of agency for in particular, the province of the Eastern Cape, because the figures of those who are losing their lives are the highest in the country. And we expect the Department of Health as a custodian to the Mental Health Care Act, together with social development as the custodian of services and the rights of older persons, to come together as a matter of agency, because we can no longer continue to lose lives the way we are losing lives. We cannot continue to see older persons brutally being murdered, because at no point will we ever have enough old age homes to accommodate every older person. So it is our cry that this becomes a priority, because a lot of lives are being lost. So thank you very much for your presentation. And this is a mental health care issue. It is a matter that must be addressed as a matter of agency. And it is a disease for the whole community, the whole family. And we all need to improve services in this regard. So thanks to the UN for reminding us as member states that the 21st of September is the World Alzheimer's Day. And I think all of us, we are given an opportunity to think about those we hardly ever think about. Kosi, can we take the next hand, please?
Our next speaker is Ms. Patricia Lewu, our traditional healer.
Mama wam, siyazi ukuthi uma ngabe siye sithi kama sikunike indima yakho uthethe nathi. Enkosi mama.
Miss Patricia, please unmute.
Ncedisani umama unmute. Enkosi
Ndiyabulela ubana ninike eli thuba Camagwini lokuba nam make ndithethe. Ndingumamqwathi, ndingudikela, ndingumnondumtsweba, ndingumfola. Ndizalwa ngumgcina, nguNoncancatshe, nguNogabulekhulu, nguMalambe Entle. Umama azalwa liJola, nguMphankoma, nguQengeba, mfazi ubenye. Utata azalwa nguMxhinebe, nguGuguqu, nguZithwanga, nguMnunjwa, nguHawu, nguNotsholo. Ndibuye ndithi apho ndandikhama khona iFayidukhwe, ndazikhama kwaDlomo, kooMadiba, kooSophitsho, koongqulomsila, kooYeni
Hayi,
bambenzela.
Khawubatsho.
Ekwendeni apho. Ndabuya ke ngondo ukhafula kwaGxarha, kwaVambana, kwaHlahlana, kwaSiweyo, kwaMlawu. Ihlahla elagawulwa lawulahlwa phezu komzimvubu, bafika abafazi balitheza ngogeza. Ndiyacamagusha xa nditshoyo. Nam ndikhe ndaya phaya ezingqolweni, kwinantsika ibikhona phaya. Njengoko ndinale ngoma ithi thandazani siyabulawa, le bendikhe ndayihlabela. Ndithi thandazani siyabulawa. So ke ngoku nam phayana ndifike ndakha ubana ayintlanga laa mpatho injeya yoba sibulawe. Nam sendisuka kuyawuvingcelwa. Qha ndalwa ngomkhonto wasekhaya, lo kwakuthiwe ndingaze ndihlabe ngamntu, ndihlabe mntu ngawo. Qha into eyenzekayo mna ndalwa ngawo. Savela isihlwele, uThixo nesihlwele, sebebalekile amapolisa ndiwafowunela afika sebengasekho. Wavela uThixo nesihlwele wabaveza, kwabhaqwa amabhozo wabo phantsi kweebhedi zabo. Ekubeni uba ndike ndanaye uphanziphanzi woba ndingathi ndiyaqaphela omnye wabo, ndabe ndinenxeba eliphezu kwenantsika kwemehlo. Babe ndihlabe amanxeba asixhenxe, kodwa ndaye ndasinda. Kwakobu bugqwirha ke buxelwayo, uthi ubugxidikise ubuso, ubonakale uligqwirhakazi. Ubumdala uligqwirhakazi, mna ndina-76 years. Nam ndinayo ke imaniyeka icima, ingqondo le. Ndithi ngoku into endiyiphetheyo ndiyoyikhangela kwenye indawo. Ndike ndafihla i-4,000. 4,000 lo inoba ndayifumana emva kweenyanga ezimbini. Ndaxelelwa sisihlwele uba nantsiya imali yakho phaa. Ndayifumana. Ngoku nditsho ukuthi ke le ndima yobugqwirha kuthi bantu badala, abantwana banamhlanje ngoku ngeke bakwazi nowusonga. Sele ugula ungumntu omdala, sele ungaboni ungumntu omdala, ngekhe bakwazi ukonga ngoku. Into abakujongele yona uba waya epeyini, bathatha le mali yakho. Imbi ke into eyenzekileyo. Siyalibulela eli sebe lonontlalo kakhulu ukuba bade basiphakamise, besikade singayazi noba le nto ingancedwa njani na, incedakale ngantoni. Kona kona nxa umdala ingqondo ziyakushiya, ngoba kaloku ucinga iinto ezininji, ucinge nabangasekhoyo, ucinge ngabo. Ngeli xesha ndimlibala umntana ngoku ndifuna umkhwaza ngegama lakhe, ndingalazi ndililibale. Ubuyintombi ndithi, ntombazana ndinawundiva ndiyakubiza. Ubuyinkwenkwe kwedini yiza, ndilibele igama. Zezi ngqondo ke sekusithiwa singamagqwirha ngazo nje. Ezi ngqondo zisuke zithathe zibeka. Kunjengobana umntu okanye kuthiwe ubani lowa nguye luthakathaka, uthathwe intonga kuzwe mna mntu uligqirha. Ndawuthi uba ndifuna imali ndixoke ngaye umntu, kanti akunjalo. Kunjengaxa ezisiwe umntu enjeya enemaniyeka ecima. Funeka kwazeke into yobana ugugile, iminyaka yakhe ikude. Ndiyacamagusha ke, hayi ke beke ndatshaya nesineyifu, into yempumlo zaxinana, sebandihleka. Enkosi Camagwini.
Camagu gogo. Sithanda le nto kuba kuthi abo babe khona ngoba siye abantu bulawe kuthiwa inyanga ithe, inyanga yathi, inyanga yathi. So siyabulela mama ngoba uma nina nikwazi ukuthi nibe ingxenyenye nathi, siyakwazi ukuthi sibambisane Camagu. So it's always, my traditional healer said this, my traditional healer said that. When we work together with our traditional leaders, we begin to realize that it is only in partnership and it is in education, in awareness raising, that we are going to make sure that our traditional healers, as Umama has just spoken, are actually part of communities. And sometimes some of them are the ones that says, yes, that one is a witch. Like we heard from the family that who went to witch Inyanga and said this and that, and the Inyanga komba bani bani. These are some of the realities, but Camagu, enkosi kakhulu, mama siyabulela. Kosi, the next hand, please.
Our next hand is Mr. Rudolph K.
Enkosi.
Camagu.
Deputy DM, our next hand is Mr. Rudolph K.
Rudolph, you've got the floor.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Honourable Minister, for this wonderful platform, and that we're able to talk about these things. I am the coordinator of the South African Older Persons Forum, but what I want to talk about is a lot more personal. My own mother passed away some 2 years ago of Alzheimer's disease. For us as a family, it was an extremely difficult road, and it was extremely difficult because the one thing about Alzheimer's is that it strips the person of who they are. They become a shadow of the person that they were and become completely dependent on the people around them. Now, it is shocking for me to hear about the killings of older persons accused of being witches, and my condolences and my heart goes out to the lady that spoke about that earlier. This, however, I've read a few articles in newspapers just during this year where it has happened in the Eastern Cape and other provinces. Now, such as with my mother, those older persons become completely dependent on the people around them. And if those people betray them, if those people start mistrusting them, they really have absolutely no one in this world. If the persons that is supposed to take care of them and the persons that they're supposed to trust accuses them of being witches, accuses them of witchcrafts, they essentially are persecuted, and some of them die the loneliest deaths possible. I think, speaking from a personal point of view, that Alzheimer's warrants a national discussion with our society as a whole, because it does not ask color or creed or economic status. It can affect everybody. And you know, there's a lot that people must learn about dementia, but there's a lot that people must learn about dementia, not only in certain communities, but in the whole of society. People are not aware enough of the signs of, for instance, early onset of dementia. We have a responsibility, and I think government also has a responsibility to really take this problem seriously and start engaging society as a whole. For me as a son, it was extremely difficult to see a person that herself was a nurse and a caregiver, going into a state where she didn't even recognize herself in the mirror. And I think and as a child, you always ask yourself the question, maybe, can that maybe be me in a few years? The progress that we make now with regards to Alzheimer's and dementia, we should not forget, may make the road for us better also in future, as well as the older persons of today. Thank you, Honourable Minister. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. That was Rudolph, the CEO of the Older Persons Forum in South Africa. Asimuteni, I'm waiting for you, sir. I can see you are trying to switch your camera off or on. I'm not sure what is it that you want to do. Madam. One of the most, thank you so much, Rudolph, because each one of us have a story to tell. Each one of us. This morning, when I was at the old age home, Ukoko was sitting alone, very quiet. I greeted Ukoko and I said, Koko kunjani? Hayi ndisazilile mntanam. Ungasondeli. You know, I'm still in mourning. I'm still wearing black clothes. You are not supposed to come close to me. And Gogo's husband died 12 years ago. But the last she can remember is Esha Ezlile. Mute tech, please. Tech, can you mute? I moved from that Gogo to the next one. Molo Gogo. And Gogo ati, hayi ungandiphazamisi. Ndibhizi ndenza ama-sandwich. Ndenzela izukulu zam kaloku. And azikhona ukuthola sandwich. Ngoba uyabona abotata bayathatha, but ugogo is sitting down. But that's what she can remember of her life. And she thinks she's still doing that. So in all of this, there's also inherent dignity that is introduced by the South African Constitution that we need to then say, why is that not applicable to older persons? And like Rudolph said, if God is going to bless you with long life, start preparing for your old age now. Let me recognize Peshea. You had your hand up. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, DM, and all the participants for the platform. My name is Shungube Emmanuel Peshe. I grew up in a small village in Mpumalanga province. The village name is Mbuzini. So while I was still growing up, during my primary school days, in our village would experience issues where maybe old people will be chased away from the village, sometimes like burn their houses and all those kind of things due to like such situation where they would experience confusion and memory loss. So I think maybe there were symptoms of Alzheimer's. Even last year, they burnt down a house of an old woman whom was suspected to be practicing witchcraft and all that. So this situation, I think maybe it goes far where it needs education and raising awareness to small villages where people should know that there are such kind of diseases that are associated with mental illness other than like practicing witchcraft. Because like people are losing lives, we're losing our families, our relatives due to such kind of confusion. I thank you.
This is very important for social development to upscale awareness, because it's not only happening in the Eastern Cape, it's happening across the country. The minute you show the signs of confusion, you left your house, trying to get to the bathroom, especially in our villages where the toilet is still outside, can't find your way, does not know your house anymore, does not know who you are, cannot say where you come from, you are automatically a witch in our villages. And this is a clear indication of the agency and the importance of a sustained campaign and a package of care. Respite care services remain very, very important, that we need to make sure they're not only given to families who have children with severe disabilities, but they are extended to families of members with dementia. So this is very important for social development. And we will be partnering with tribal councils, where City Amakosi must also. On the chart, there's a request for the translation of what Umamu Patricia Lew has said. Let me summarize. She highlighted how she herself has been a victim. As a traditional leader, as a traditional healer, one of the things when you are actually introduced, you are given what in loose translation I would call a sword. But it's not a sword where you must ever use it it must never go into anybody's living human being, because it's there for you to actually dig out whatever the herbs that you are shown. But the one day she was attacked and called a witch also, and she gave an example of how she had put 4,000 away and can never remember where it was, and accepted that it's lost until she got it after 2 months. And when these young people came to attack her, she had no other, she was stabbed in 9 holes, but she had no other option except to use the sword that she was given. And she used it to defend herself. And as a result, she obviously has to go through the cleansing because she now used it. But she is happy that she is alive. But she also feels that traditional healers, as the people that are pointing out and naming people due to lack of understanding in the programs that must be designed, traditional healers must be included so that they, when families and when people come to them, they stop pointing at this one, but they actually understand the dementia and Alzheimer's, so that they are also partners. And having been a victim, she actually understands, because she is alive today by grace, having been stabbed so many wounds, because she was called a witch outside of her traditional leadership, but just because she's already showing signs of forgetting and signs of confusion from time to time. That is the summary of what Umamu Patricia Lew have said, but in her discussion, it actually shows us of the work that we still need to do. Are there any other hands, Kosi?
We don't have any hands, dear.
Without us having any hands, let me just quickly summarize in terms of, as we celebrate Alzheimer's Awareness Day, we don't want this campaign to be a campaign for today. Firstly, we need to heal families, because there's a lot of lives that have been lost. But at the same time, a lot of these lives are also lost during the time where older persons get their SASSA grants. Okay. So between crime between, wanting to steal what older persons are supposed to use for their livelihood, between our grandchildren not knowing what dementia or Alzheimer's is, between families that are hating without access to information, between our services that are not adequate, our family restoration programs, amongst the things that we need to be able to strengthen is we should not only be restoring families, we also need to provide a lot of support to families who have and are looking after older persons, because we as a department will never have enough.
Thank
Today,
you so much, Deputy.
An amazing day. I can see somebody's hand has just gone up.
Nobozo's hand is up.
Okay, let's give you a minute before I close. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for this platform. After hearing so many people who have had experiences as well of this transformation in their household, it got me thinking, Deputy Minister, that if each household could actually recommend one of their family members who is unemployed and can be actually trained to look after somebody who's got dementia in their household, I think that could be a start. Because somehow or another, it goes back to even knowing the person of how and who they have been all their life. And with this transaction of dementia, of Alzheimer's, then that person is able to actually, understand that this was not the person. This person was never like this. And therefore, treating that person then becomes a little bit easy because you do have an understanding of the background. Thank you so much for the platform.
That's a very, very important suggestion. It's very important even for us because at the moment, we are able to put people on the sexual offenses register or on the register for crimes against children. In the acknowledgement of South Africans becoming an aging community, with the likelihood of preparing for aging and services to older persons, it will be important that we revisit and we actually think as government around at what point does this register also begin to protect people, older persons, so that whoever has committed a crime against older people will be protected from them. Because these are some of the people that we don't vet when they apply for programs to work in old age homes. We don't vet them. And this is some of what we are taking away. We need to make sure that we develop the integrated service. And I've committed to kickstarting the process, the dialogues and creating the platforms where South Africa can have actually a package of services that are clearly defined and that are costed so that we are able to begin to support families. And this will be a joint program between the unit for older persons, the unit for children, not that we are turning older persons into children, but there should be the wisdom of somebody is disturbing my thinking. What is it? Okay. So that it's not a day, Petro, we acknowledge that you are going to say something. We need to make sure that we actually have a strategy, but we also include the training of older persons in the Justice College so that judges, police officers are properly trained, because then it just becomes When an older person is abused, it becomes about grievous bodily harm, but we're not able to collect the right statistics because the relationship and the link is never made. Let me take Petra so that I can close. You have the floor, Madam Twitch.
Thank you so much. Can I please read a pledge for people living with dementia on behalf of Alzheimer's South Africa? Dementia is a group of diseases of the brain that affects a person's memory, emotions, behavior, and thoughts. There is no cure for dementia, and people living with dementia are often stigmatized, abused, and even killed due to strange behavior. I pledge to raise awareness about dementia so that people can understand that a person is sick and not just acting weird or is bewitched. I pledge to support people living with dementia and their caregivers so that they can live a better life. I pledge to train caregivers in the community to take care of people living with dementia in a humane, respectful way. I pledge to support programs that seek to create safer and healthier communities for people living with dementia. And lastly, I pledge to work towards a national dementia plan for South Africa in partnership with all relevant stakeholders. Thank you.
And we all join you in that pledge because we all have a responsibility to protect, to uphold the inherent rights and dignity of those with dementia. We need to also commit to ensuring that this country will have a plan, that we acknowledge that we have a challenge, but also it goes into the funding, the package of resource allocation for older persons. We're looking forward to working with the older persons. And one of the painful things, as I conclude, without leaving anyone out, is COVID has been a real challenge for people with dementia. In their pain, in their confusion, in their disorientation, in their aggression, in their mood swings, in their forgetfulness, in their inability to know or remember how to put one leg in front of the other, in their reality of not knowing who they are, who their children are, literally losing each and everything just like that without a cure. It's not reversible. We need to all commit that older persons have the right and deserve dignity and respect, those with and those without. And if we all put our heads together to actually ensure that older persons are respected, they are protected, that abuse against older persons becomes a serious criminal offense, but that we make sure that families are supported. It's a long journey. All of us are waiting candidates. All of us can be diagnosed with Alzheimer's, but all of us must pull up our sleeves. We are losing too many lives. In all of the above, they deserve to live. Not that we must cut short their lives because we don't give life and therefore should not take it. Unemployment can never be an excuse for young people to kill and abuse older persons. Alcohol abuse and drug abuse can never be an excuse to become less of human and pick up animal behavior. Actually, I'm insulting the animals because they have more respect sometimes than we have. It is time that as young South Africans, we take pride in our older persons, that we begin to learn, understand, ask, share, that it cannot be in the hands of young men and young women. But what is said is that Alzheimer's, dementia has a face of a woman, not by choice, but because women live longer and men seems to die younger. Therefore, the burden of this disease is the face of the woman. The same way that we stand up to fight gender-based violence and femicide, this is another form of gender-based violence because it happens in our homes, perpetuated by those that must protect and care for us. It happens in the communities, not where we are new, but where we have grown up, got married, lived. It's perpetuated against us by the people that know who we were. And just because we cannot remember who we are, we deserve no longer their respect. Thank you so much for joining us as we take the baby steps as government to begin to take seriously the challenges our communities are facing, the challenges our families are going through, the importance of the work that we do, and all the department pulling together. As we increase our lifespan, so we should increase services. We've taken the advice, which we are going to look at, that indeed it makes sense. In the same way we started centers for children with severe disabilities, the people that started the centers were the parents of disabled children, where they understood what they are going through and they were supported in establishing some of these centers as a way of protecting the children because they are looked after. And I see the same process that we need to endorse in improving services to people with dementia, especially as we are getting it at a much younger, because of the depression, because of the stressful lives, because of a lot of anxiety, uncertainty, and all of the things that has a direct challenge to the way in which our brains function. Thank you so much for joining us. Let us think for those that can't think for themselves. Let's remember those that cannot remember for themselves. Let's celebrate the process of aging. Let us acknowledge its non-communicable diseases. They are sick. It's a condition that doesn't have a cure. The same stigma that we are fighting to remove, whether it's on people living with HIV, whether it's on victims of gender-based violence, whether it's on widows, wherever stigma is, we need to stand together to end it. And this is a stigma older women carry, that they are witches, they get labeled because of lack of understanding. Let us together carry the baton. Let us together end stigma. Let us together uphold the inherent dignity and the rights of older persons. Let's uphold who they were, because they are still that person. They are still that nurse, that principal, that domestic worker. They are still who they were. The difference is they are just stuck in their old bodies, and they can only remember the past. The present and the future does not exist in their lives. Let us be that future. Let us be that present, and let us make their life very comfortable. Thank you, South Africa, for joining us this evening. May God grant us wisdom. May God grant us peace. May God grant us energy. Above all, may God grant us grace, mercy, and favor. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Good evening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, DM.
Well
Thank you, DM.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very
We
much.
appreciate.
Thank you very much, DM. Thank you.
Thank
you,
Thank
DM.
you. Bye.
Good night.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, DM.
Bye.
Well done.
Bye, DM.
Thank you. Bye, DM.
Bye.
Wow. Wow. Bye.
Amos Mamon.
Wow.
I miss the skull that I never thought I'd say I'd miss. I wish you could do that again. I miss that independent woman. I miss, yeah, say my name. I miss biryani. I miss any food of hers. The jokes, the playfulness, the togetherness. It's like we don't know how to deal with it. I miss my mom. I lost my mom more than a year ago. And I lose a little more of her every day.
People like to family because my father was a very tall, hefty man.